There's a story old that has often been told of how our Savior died as they nailed his hands. He cried, "They don't understand," as the blood flowed from his side.
Good morning, St. Francis. My name is Lindsey Yeskoo, and today I've been asked to speak to you about my reflections on Veronica's experience with Jesus, wiping his face. I can't stop thinking about the face of Jesus at this point. When I think of what he went through the night before, having Passover with the ones that he had poured his life out for the 3 years, and then washing their feet, and then having that agonizing time in the garden where he just wanted them to stay close, to watch with him, even just for those brief moments, that brief hour. And then we've heard this week already about his condemnation, how he was condemned, how he was then face to face with his mother on the Via Dolorosa, and how Simon was asked to carry his cross when he couldn't bear it anymore. And I think of the face of Jesus and what must have been on that face as he continued on the Via Dolorosa. Could he lift his eyes? Could he see for the tears? Could he see for the sweat and the dirt? We don't know. But Veronica was there in the crowd, and she saw him, and she saw his face, and she takes an incredible step from the sidelines and steps into the picture. An incredibly brave and courageous thing to do. It was as if she had to say, I know he's condemned. I know his disciples have made their distance. I don't have time to figure things out, but I see someone that I love who is in pain and who is in anguish. And I have this window of opportunity where I can step in and touch him and minister to him, even if it's just for this pocket of time. And that's what she does. We don't know if it was her veil or if it was her some kind of a cloth that she had, a sweat cloth. But she steps into the picture and she actually has an encounter with him on that road. Not much is known about her. She's virtually anonymous other than for this incident. But she's given me a lot to think about. She dared to step in because she loved Jesus. And she saw his face and wanted to do something. She didn't remain reticent. She didn't stay with the crowd and just carry all of that pain that she was having on his behalf and because of what was happening to him. She didn't contain it in herself. She actually stepped out and did something. She reached out to Jesus, who was at the most vulnerable part of the journey yet. I think there's an awful lot in there for us, and I was asked to be very personal about my response to this, but so I would like to share with you something that happened the night that I was with my daughter when she passed away, and when I had to walk through her own Via Dolorosa with her. For years before I knew the story of Veronica, I used to wonder why did nobody step in and reach out and at least touch him or give him some kind of consolation along the way. And I came to that night with my daughter, and I realized that I was losing her, and we were just alone, and there was no one else there with her that could help her to make the passage from this life to the next. And I tasted something that night that Veronica must have tasted herself too, when she reached out and touched the face of Jesus. And I thought about her that night, and I thought about what a privilege it was for me to be able to have sensed the need of that to happen for Jesus, and realizing that maybe this was the only incident where it did happen, and that out of that I was able to come alongside and be for my daughter what I would have hoped would have happened for Jesus. It just was the most sacred ground and the most enormous privilege. But I can't just leave it there, because this whole meditation on Veronica this week for me has made me realize that this affects now my whole being in the world. This having tasted of the vulnerable Jesus, of recognizing the vulnerable Jesus even in my own daughter. My own daughter is gone now, but there is a world full of people around me who have the face of Jesus. And what am I going to do with that? And how am I going to live that? And I just sense that Veronica must have had an encounter with Jesus that was utterly transformational in her life. It was an encounter with the love of Jesus. At a time in her own life, with her own dirt and her own sweat and her own tears, somehow Jesus had met her, and there was no way she was going to leave him alone in those moments that she had a chance to encounter him. And I have to ask myself the same question now. Is this not what God is calling me to do? Who is Jesus to me? Father Meshach asked in his sermon on Sunday. And I asked myself further to that, in whose face do I now see the face of Jesus, and how am I called to respond? I can't do everything. I can't be part of the whole journey from beginning to end, but for the moments and the window of time where my path can intersect the path of another person who is at their most vulnerable, who's crying out, I can wipe their face.
As he hung there on the tree, he prayed for you and prayed for me. There was no one his pain to ease. Before he died, he thanked